Have you ever looked at a picture of the pyramids? I mean, really looked at them. They are just huge. And they were built thousands and thousands of years ago with these gigantic stone blocks. But hold on a second. They didn't have any of our modern machines, no trucks, no cranes. So how in the world did they move those massive, impossible stones? Well, that's what we're going to find out. Come on, let's be detectives and solve this thing together.
Okay, so just to get our heads around this, let's start with the Great Pyramid in Egypt. It is made of more than 2 million blocks, and some of those blocks weigh up to 80 tons. That's heavier than like 10 elephants all stacked on top of each other. It's so heavy. And they built the whole thing by hand. Seriously, no power tools, no nothing. Isn't that just mind-blowing?
And hey, it wasn't just the pyramids. In another ancient tomb, archaeologists found these amazing drawings that actually show people moving a giant statue of a ruler named Hatnub. And get this, scientists calculated that this one statue weighed 73 tons. That's like a whole bunch of school buses put together. So yeah, we know for a fact they did it.
So, we're back to our big mystery. How? I mean, did they have some kind of superpowers? Was it magic, or were they just incredibly clever? Let's start digging into the clues they left behind and see if we can figure this thing out.
Okay, so our first clue is actually hiding in plain sight, right there on the stones themselves. Turns out the builders were so smart that they left little tricks on the blocks to help them out. Check this thing out. It's called a lifting boss. It's basically like a little handle that the stonecutters left sticking out of the block on purpose. It wasn't there to look pretty. It was actually a super important tool.
These little stone handles were just genius. The work crews could wrap ropes around them or stick big wooden poles under them to lift and push the blocks into place. It's really no different than having a handle on a super heavy suitcase. And we've found these all over the world in all sorts of ancient places, so we absolutely know they use this trick. So not magic, just really smart thinking.
But okay, stone handles are one thing. How do you get a block that weighs as much as an airplane all the way up the side of a pyramid? Well, just a few years ago, scientists found something that might just be the answer.
So in this place in Egypt called Hatnub, which is where they used to cut huge stones right out of the mountainside, archaeologists found this. It's an ancient ramp, and it was built at the exact same time as the Great Pyramid. But let me tell you, this was not just any old ramp.
First off, this ramp was super steep. I mean, way steeper than you would expect. It also had stairs running up both sides for people to climb. But the most mysterious part was this pattern of post holes drilled into the rock all along the sides. They're all lined up perfectly. So, what were they for?
Well, at first, everybody got really excited. The theory was that the workers stuck big wooden posts in those holes. Then they could wrap ropes around the posts, kind of like how a rope goes around a pulley on a flagpole. The idea was this would basically multiply their strength, making the block feel lighter so a smaller team could haul a giant stone up that incredibly steep ramp. It seemed like the perfect solution.
But then some engineers took a closer look, and they, did the actual math, and they realized something was very wrong. The idea was brilliant, but in the real world, it just wouldn't work. Uh-oh.
Yeah, an engineer named Stephen Bruschieri Colombi pointed out a pretty huge problem. He said those posts wouldn't act like pulleys at all. In fact, they would do the complete opposite. Instead of making the block easier to pull, they'd actually make it way harder.
So let's break this down. A pulley, right? That helps you lift things. It makes heavy stuff feel a whole lot lighter. But the other thing, a bollard, well, that's designed to stop things from moving. It uses friction, that rubbing of the rope against the post, to create a ton of drag and make things harder to move, not easier.
Just picture a giant ship pulling into a dock. A single person can stop that massive ship from floating away just by wrapping its rope around one of those big metal posts on the pier. That post is a bollard. It adds so much friction that it acts like a brake. So using them on the ramp would be like trying to drive a car with the parking brake on.
Okay, so if the posts weren't there to make pulling any easier, then why go to all the trouble of making them? What was their real secret purpose?
And here is the clue that everyone missed at first. You have to look at the ramp again. It doesn't just go straight up. It actually curves. It turns a corner. And let me tell you, trying to pull something super heavy around a tight corner is a really, really big problem.
And that's it. That is the aha moment. The posts weren't to help with the steepness, they were to help with the curve. Think about it. If you have a long line of people all pulling one rope, they can't really turn a corner. So the posts let them split into smaller groups and pull from different angles to steer that giant block safely around the bend. So incredibly clever.
So we've seen some seriously smart, real-world solutions that people actually used. But for some people, that's still not enough. They think the answer is even crazier. That maybe the ancient Egyptians didn't use ramps and ropes at all?
What if they didn't have to pull the heavy stones at all? What if they could just make the stones float? Now, I know it sounds like something straight out of a movie, but it's a theory some people really think about.
So there are a couple of really wild ideas here. One is acoustic lifting. The idea that they use special sounds, like a very specific loud hum, to make the stones vibrate and just levitate off the ground. The other one is hydrolifting. This idea suggests they use the power of water, maybe by building special sealed rooms and using water pressure to push the stones upwards. And to be clear, we have zero proof for any of this, but they are pretty fun ideas to think about.
All right, detectives, our investigation is just about done. Let's lay out all the clues we've uncovered and see what we've really learned about this amazing mystery.
Let's put this all together. Those little stone handles, the lifting bosses, that's proven. We know they use those. That's a fact. The idea of using posts like pulleys to make pulling easier, well, that's been disproven. Physics just says it wouldn't work. But using those same posts to help steer around corners, that seems really plausible. It's a very good guess. And making stones float with sound or water, that's a super cool idea. But for now, it's just speculative. There's no proof.
So what do you think is more amazing? Believing it was some kind of magic that built the pyramids, or knowing that real people thousands of years ago were so incredibly smart and creative that they figured out how to move impossible stones all by themselves, just using their brains and teamwork? Sometimes the real story is even more wondrous than any fairy tale.